Hey everybody, Yankee here, and we are on day 8 of What Guns Reviewers Carrying. But before we start today, I want to take a second to remind people of the criteria here for getting one of your pictures on the video. First off, it needs to be landscape mode, which is 16 by 9, not 4 by 3. I think some of you have got old Commodore 64 computers out there, and that you think monitors are still 4 by 3. They are not. It is 16:9. Also, just the gun. I don't need 7 guns and all their holsters, blah, blah, blah. Just the gun you carry most, and just the gun, not in a holster, so that we can actually see what it is. And also, here's the crazy part, I would like them to be reasonably in focus so that we can tell it's a gun. So with that in mind, go ahead and send your stuff in to shootingleftofcenter@gmail.com, even though it's going to be forever before we get through these. But let's get started today with part 8. First, we have a Dick from Oklahoma, or Oklahoma, as my grandfather used to always call it. And I don't know about you all, but I always assume everyone from Oklahoma is a Dick, but this one is an actual Dick. And he's carrying a Beretta 92 Brigadier, which is an excellent gun. I love the Brigadiers. They're probably my favorite Beretta model. And not just because they lend themselves very easily to be converted into Samurai Edge Berettas, just I like the overall lines of them. I like that little hump in the middle, interrupting that straight line of the slide. So one of my favorite Berettas. Now it does look like there's been a couple changes to this Beretta. He does look like he's put a G-type conversion on there, because now that is not a safety on this side. It's a decocker. Good thing it's not a de-dicker. But it looks like he's made that change. And he's also added some Wilson combat grips, which look really nice on here. I like the cherry and the black. So this is a Dick from Oklahoma and his Beretta 92 Brigadier. That wasn't childish at all. All right, next we have Kevin from Vermont. And I don't know much about Vermont. Isn't that where maple syrup comes from? That's pretty much the only thing I know about them. It's pretty sad when that's the only thing people know about your state, is that you make syrup. But he is showing us his CZ75D PCR. And I'm not real sure about this background. It's a little sultry, all the fake fur and everything here. It's giving me real Glamour Shots vibes, if anybody can remember Glamour Shots. It's a little bit over-sexualized, I think, for a gun picture. But, you know, up in Vermont, that might be the best they can do. So this is Kevin from Vermont, the land, I believe, of maple syrup. Maybe I'm wrong. That might be another state. And in that case, I don't know anything about Vermont. And he's showing us his CZ75D PCR, and these are awesome guns. All right, next we got Kerry C from Texas, and he's showing us his Kerry G, his carry gun. Wasn't that clever, the way I did that there? I was very proud of myself for that. And he's carrying a Smith & Wesson 686 Plus. And I do believe this is the 357 model, because it's got the unfluted cylinder, which makes this a really nice looking gun. Now he looks like he's polished it up a little bit. It's got a little bit of a shine to it. And he's added some staghorn grips over here to make it look really classy. So this is a gun after my own heart. Love this gun. In fact, I own this gun, and I actually have staghorn grips on mine. So I'm thinking Kerry might be watching me, which is kind of spooky. But I do approve of his choices here, even though I do think they were my choices that he just copied. But they're good choices. We got Kerry C from Texas and his Smith & Wesson 686 Plus. And I do believe, like I said, it's the 357 model. All right, next we have Patrick from Virginia. And he's carrying a Glock 19 MOS Gen 5. Now this is a very plain and simple gun. No frills, not that exciting. But being named Patrick, I'm betting he's Catholic, and they're not allowed to be exciting. If they're exciting, they'll go to hell. So he's made a very simple, reliable, basic choice here with his Glock 19. Now he has done it up a little bit with a Surefire light and a red dot. So he is prepared to get it on day or night, no matter what comes. And it is Patrick from Virginia with his Glock 19 MOS Gen 5. All right, next we got Clit from Washington. And don't get mad at me. I'm not the one that gave her those initials. That was her parents doing. But like I said, she's from Washington, and she's showing us her Kimber K6s, double action, single action. Now, we've seen a couple K6s's so far, but this is the first double action, single action one of the bunch. And I'll tell you, I think this is the best version of this gun because you got that hammer there for that single action option. And I just love this gun, and it looks really good with these blue grips on here. I don't know who these are from. These might be lock grips, but those look awesome. In fact, the only problem I have with this picture here, and it's something I've told people before, if you appendix carry your gun and you take it out for a pic, remember to remove all the pubes before you take the picture. It's something a surprising number of you don't bother to do. And one of them is obviously Clit from Washington with her Kimber K6s double action, single action. All right, next we have T. Davis, who is also from Washington. And whenever I see a T as an initial, I always assume it's titties, just so that I can giggle, because I giggle whenever I say titties. And T. Davis in Washington is carrying his Glock 23. Now, this one is not a 40 Smith & Wesson Glock 23 because he's put a Lone Wolf conversion barrel in there that shoots 357 Sig, as you should if you have a Glock 23. And he's made some other modifications here that I don't know what they are or what they mean mostly. The one that stands out the most is that weird red mag release there. I hope that's not symbolic of something. But that is probably the most obvious change to it, and then the trigger guard. But nice, simple choice in a great caliber, 357 Sig. So I approve of Titties Davis. It is Glock 23 in Washington. All right, next we have Jake from Louisiana. And we can assume a couple of things here since he is from Louisiana. He's either an alcoholic and or just loves wrestling alligators in his spare time, or is completely unaware that he can actually move out of Louisiana. It is allowed, because that's the only reasons I can think that he's still in Louisiana. But he's carrying a really nice carry gun here. This is a Colt Trooper Mark III. This is a classic gun. This is a classy gun with a capital K since he's in Louisiana. Now, Jake says he got this gun for $250 in a pawn shop years ago and has been carrying it ever since, and that sounds like an amazing deal to me. Now, one thing you do have to keep in mind, that it's still 1978 in Louisiana, pretty much. Still a great deal, but in modern day currency, that's more like $700 or $800. But this gun here would be worth that as well, because it is a great gun. It is a Colt Trooper Mark III being carried by Jake in Louisiana. All right, next we got Spencer from Minnesota. And I want to take 1 second here before I talk about the gun to point out that Spencer sent the picture in 16:9 format, which is why the grip isn't cut off. He actually just put the gun itself on a plain background, took the time to remove all the pubes from said background, lit it, and took the picture and actually got it in focus. Which, you know, that isn't that much credit to him because most cameras will do that on their own, but a lot of people can't seem to do it. And Spencer pulled it off. So his mother was wrong. He is actually good for something. It turns out he can actually take a good gun picture. And I just wanted to point that out for the rest of you out there. And what he's carrying is a CZ75D Compact. And the D stands for decocker. We've seen a lot of our viewers carrying CZ75s and a lot of them carrying the compact model. And this one is a great example of those guns. These are awesome. If you carry one of these, you're carrying a great gun. I approve, and I really approve of Spencer actually being able to follow the rules, unlike so many of you. And he's carrying, like I said, his CZ75D Compact in Minnesota. And I know that was the weakest Minnesota accent attempt ever, but I really don't think you can do a Minnesota accent unless you are actually from Minnesota or you've had severe head trauma. So that's as good as it's going to get, and we'll just have to leave it at that. All right, next we have Masterless 1, or Masterless 01. I guess you have to say the O when they do that. And I don't know about this screen name. I think it's some sort of weird domination fetish screen name, but we're going to go with it here. Now, there is a problem with this picture. He did not send me his location. Now, normally, I just brush over you if you didn't send your location. If you can't tell me where you're from, well, then I can't be bothered. But since he is carrying a Kimber Ultra Tactical 2, I thought I'd go ahead and show it, because this is one of the few 1911 subcompact guns we've seen so far. And by subcompact, we're talking officer-size guns or even a little smaller sometimes. I'm really amazed at how these guns aren't that common now. They used to be very common just, 10 years ago, but they seem to have gone by the wayside with all the ultra small 9mm that came out. So it's nice to kind of see someone carrying one, even though they can't follow the rules. He did send several pictures here, so he was trying very hard. He just didn't quite get everything done. But I still wanted to show it, making an exception here. Now, he said that he found this gun in a pawn shop and it was all scratched up, but was still in great shape other than the finish. So he went ahead and got it anyway. And I'm like, that's perfect for a carry gun. If you're going to scratch it up anyway, let someone else take the depreciation on the scratches. So this is Masterless 01. I hope he finds a master soon. He sounds lonely. And his Kimber Ultra Tactical 2 from Parts Unknown. All right, next we have Dave O from Florida, and he's carrying a Sig Sauer P229C SAS. Now, this is an awesome gun. The P229 is one of my favorite SIGs, if not my favorite SIG. And this one is in 357 SIG. So this is an awesome gun. A SIG round and a SIG gun. How much cooler could you get? And the SAS part on here means that this gun has received a little bit of what they call a melt treatment, which they don't really melt it. They actually just file off all the sharp edges and make it smooth, but it kind of looks like it melted. Now, I personally don't really care for melt treatments. I like the sharp, crisp lines of the SIG guns. One of the things I like most about them. But I can understand why some people would want them rounded off. Some people have delicate skin. Maybe Dave O has very delicate skin. Maybe the fact he's from Florida means he might be really, really old. The type of old that cut themselves on the soap when they take a shower. So he probably needs these rounded off edges, because carrying a regular SIG would pretty much be a suicide attempt for him. So I can understand why he wants the SAS model. It's not the one I would choose, but it's still a great gun. And it's Dave O in Florida's carry gun, the SIG P229C SAS, or SAS, as some people like to say. All right, there's part 8. Part 9. Coming soon.